Hello, I am Melissa Collins, and today I will be going through the financial objectives for the 25th wedding anniversary event in the form of a master plan, including the master budget and our actual outcome budget, showing all forecasted plans done ahead of the event and then what the actual outcome was. Then go further in depth and discuss why this outcome was received and what we could have done to make it more favorable. The variances will be broken down and analyzed, and then recommendations will be given to support the findings. Lastly, the balance scorecard will be broken down into how the event and the variances can be improved. Below is our event budget, the actual versus the forecasted master budget. Without any further calculations, we can see certain details that stand out to identify the variances between these two budgets. It can be seen that the event did not match the projected budget originally set. Firstly, the event received less guests than originally anticipated. Originally, the plan was for 45 people at $205 per unit. However, there was only 40 people who attended at $210 per person. We can also see from the food and beverage costs that the events used 20 less glasses than originally planned for and less milliliters per glass. Food-wise, there was 40 meals compared to 45 as planned. However, each meal used 25 grams more than anticipated. From this, we can see we exceeded the budget for our food roughly by $20. Below is a new results table, including the in-betweener results and the flexible budget results. Two things we can't see from the previous table. For all three areas, the flexible budget was calculated using the budgeted amount of materials multiplied by the budgeted input price. For sales revenue, the flexible budget came to $8,200. For the flexible budget variance, it was $8,400 minus $8,200, which came to $200, and then the flexible budget of $8,200 minus the master budget of $9,225, which equals negative $1,025, bringing the level 1 analysis of the master budget variance to negative $825, meaning we did not go over the projected budget but yet made a profit of $825. For the food and beverage, we also used the in-betweener budget result. The in-betweener budget result was calculated by actual amount of materials multiplied by budgeted input price, and then we find the total. For the beverage expenses, the in-betweener came to $2,280, and the flexible budget came to $2,565. For the level 3 analysis, direct material price and efficiency variance, we found this by the actual price minus in-betweener, and then the in-betweener minus flexible budget. So the first outcome came to 120 and the second came to negative 285. And then we found the level 2 analysis for the flexible budget variance, which came to $427.50. And finally, the master budget variance came to $592.50, meaning we went over budget and did not make a profit. Lastly, for the food analysis, the in-betweener came to $810 and the flexible budget came to $911.25. For the level 3 analysis, we got $300 and then we got $151.88. The level 2 variance came to $105, and then the master budget analysis came to $20.62, meaning we also did not make a profit for the food analysis. In relation to the variance report, we need to discuss whether we actually achieved our target, did we over or underperform, and then the reasons as to why it went this way. Going back to slide 2 in this table, we did indeed make a profit at the end of the day, as it didn't go over our projected balance. We came out under budget, which means we made a profit. Our revenue was also larger than our food and beverage expenses, which also means that we had a positive end. We received 5 less guests than expected, and our meat quantities were larger than expected, however, still comes out to be a positive outcome. We would also have been seen to underperform slightly, however, we were only under budget by $253.13, which means we did not go over. To have increased more profit, we could have dropped the size of our meat quantities and kept it to the forecasted 125 grams instead of upping it to 150 grams at more per kilogram. The revenue is different because of the number of guests who attended and the unit price tickets were sold at. The beverage costs are also different because we used 20 less glasses than anticipated, however, filled them less as well, so less was used in both categories. And the food was over because we used more grams per meat with less meals. This has barely impacted our profit though, as we are still only $200 off the estimated profit and not over. What has caused this variance? Financially speaking, $205 per person for 45 people was originally the mastered budget projected, which equates to $9,225. In reality, though, we only had 40 guests, so we charged $210 per person, which still only equaled $8,440, meaning we had an $825 difference from the planned budget, which is a positive outcome as we didn't go over budget. However, we also didn't meet it. Next, we set out to have 180 glasses filled with 175 milliliters per glass at $95 per liter, coming to $2,992.50. Whereas we only had 160 glasses filled with less than expected at 150 milliliters per glass at $100 per liter, equating to $2,400. This had a $592.50 difference to the projected balance. Again, not overspending but not meeting the intended budget. Lastly, the food was planned for 45 meals, but we only had 40 guests attend. It was projected to have 125 grams per meal for 45 meals at $135 per kilogram, equating to $759.38. However, we used 40 meals at 150 grams of meat at $130 per kilogram, equating to $780. This goes over the budget by $20.62. It can also be seen to match the number of guests, we increased the price of entry per guest by $5. We could have also increased this further to match the projected budget. If we had also kept our quantity meals at 125 grams instead of increasing, we would have met projections better as well. Our event had a favorable outcome. This may have been caused by many things, such as the number of attendees, the number of beverages used, the amount of meals given. However, we ended with a safe cost. To stay as efficient, we will make sure that we have an RSVP system in for guests to know exactly how many will come and to have minimal changes there. We will also use the amounts originally forecasted for food and beverage, so 175 milliliters per glass and 125 grams of meat per plate to gain us more profit. As a first recommendation, I would recommend that we stick to our original forecasted units for food and beverage options. For example, if we had done 175 milliliters per glass at 600 glasses at $100 per liter, it would have totaled $2,800. This is only $192 off of our intended budget and $400 more than our actual budget. For meals, if we had done 40 meals at 125 grams at $130 per kilogram, it would equate to $650, which is then below budgeted and doesn't escalate and go over. It is $109.38 less than the budgeted and $130 difference to the actual cost, making it a better profit overall. As a second recommendation, we could have increased actual unit price by up to $25 for the projected and met budget better. We originally projected $205 per guest. However, if we had gone to $230 multiplied by 40 guests, we would have been able to get $9,200, which is only $25 different to the budgeted and a whole $800 more than the actual price outcome. For financial, we can upsell our business and promote functions and our ranges for the hotel to increase revenue on non-hotel guests. Customers can increase returning customer rates with a loyalty program or customer satisfaction to increase popularity. We can also introduce a takeaway option, opening up Uber Eats and DD options to make sure we are known to the public. In relation to organizational processes, we can measure what we are standardly giving and following the procedures carefully to ensure portion sizing is the same for each chef. Lastly, we can introduce staff benefits and reduce staff turnover to increase our staff morale. This could also be done through anonymous staff surveys and hiring staff with the same long-term goals as us. To sum up, this comes to an end for our variance report and strategic implications. Recommendations and analysis on the variance report shows a profit gain from the event and how to improve for the future.